Hey all you Davison Middle School science students, it's me, Mrs. Kashara, here to talk to you about the heated bolts investigation. What we're going to do in this investigation is we are going to examine the effects of heated bolts would have on two different liquids. We're going to look at water and we're going to look at oil. We're going to try to keep the constants of our water and oil at 50 grams each. So you can see each of the cups have 50 grams. And so that is going to be a constant. What we want to do is we want to measure the starting temperature, and we're going to do the starting temperature of the water of this first cup. And so I'm going to use a thermometer that is in degrees Celsius. So, in science, we like to use degrees Celsius. So the temperature of that looks to be 25 degrees Celsius. 25 degrees Celsius. Go ahead and write that down in the table for that starting of that temperature. Before we begin, we're going to, in this first cup, we are going to put 2 heated bolts into this first cup. And what I would like for you to do is I would like for you to make a prediction. What do you think will happen to the temperature of this water? We know it's at 25 degrees Celsius. What is going to happen to the temperature of this water when we add 2 heated bolts? So I'm heating the bolts in a crock pot and water, and we're going to put 2 of them in there. What do you think is going to happen to that water? Now, it'll either increase, it'll decrease, or it could stay the same. You let me know, but I want you to tell me why. What's your thoughts behind that? So pause the video here, and you can do that right now. All right, so what we're gonna do is we're gonna put 2 bolts into this cup of 25 degrees Celsius. We'll swirl it around for a minute, and then we're gonna take the temperature and see what happens. Woo, that is some heated bolts. There's 1 bolt, 2 bolts. Let's swirl that around for a minute. A minute seems like a long time when you actually time it out and you're waiting. Twenty more seconds. All right, 10, 9, 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, and let's check out the temperature. Now it's really important that when I put this thermometer in, that I'm not actually touching the bolts. You can shut the timer off there, thank you. I don't want to touch the bolts right on the thermometer because that's going to give me an inaccurate result. Remember, we're looking at the temperature of what the water would do with the heated bolts. Is it still rising? Looks like it stopped, and it looks like straight on 29 degrees Celsius. 29 degrees Celsius, thank you. And so go ahead and jot that down in the table. All right, well, we are going to do the same experiment with the same amount of water, but this time we're going to put 4 bolts in the heated water. So if you could pause this right now, do another prediction. Will the temperature of the water change more or less when we add 4 bolts as compared to adding the 2 bolts, and why? So go ahead and pause that if you would right here. And let's take a look at the starting temperature of the liquid. Just want to make sure that we have the same amount. All right, and that is at 25 degrees Celsius. 25 degrees Celsius, I would say about room temperature of the water. So let's find out what's going to happen when we add 4 heated bolts. 1, 2, 3, and 4. Let's swirl that around for a minute. And see what the bolts look like inside. Will your prediction be right? 30 more seconds. And again, we want to keep this a constant. We swirled for 1 full minute. Let's make sure that we swirl for another full minute. All right, 5 more seconds. 5, 4, 3, 2, and 1. And I'm very careful not to be touching the actual bolts, just the water. And is it still rising? All right, let's take a look. With 4 bolts, it has increased 33 degrees Celsius. 33 degrees Celsius. Write that down in your chart if you would. Okay, so as I stated before, this investigation is going to examine the effects of heated bolts to 2 different liquids. So we just found out what it does to water, increasing them a little bit. Now what we're going to do is we're going to do the same thing, but we're going to use vegetable oil. You can see the vegetable oil right there. And I measured out 50 grams of vegetable oil. So we are going to measure the starting temperature of the vegetable oil. So let's do that right now. Let's see, I have 24 degrees Celsius, 24 degrees Celsius with the vegetable oil. All right, so what we're going to do is we are going to put in the first cup, how many bolts? Do you remember? Do you remember? Yeah, 2 exactly. We're going to do 2 bolts. So here we go. 2 heated bolts. A 1 and a 2. Let's swirl that around for 1 minute. Ooh, you can see what that looks like inside. Did you make your prediction? What do you think is going to happen? Thirty more seconds. All right, almost there. Count down with me. 10, 9, 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, and a 1. Let's see what happens to the oil with 2 heated bolts. And again, I am very careful not to touch the thermometer to the heated bolt, but only the oil. All right, and that increase to 29 degrees Celsius. 29 degrees Celsius. Thank you. All right. Let's double check. Hope you put that on the table. Let's double check the temperature of this so that we get an accurate reading of the last cup of cooking oil. And that looks to be at 24 degrees Celsius. 24 degrees Celsius. All right, and in this cup, we're gonna place the 4 heated bolts. Now don't forget, there's another thing to make a prediction, but you have to explain yourself. Why? Why do you think that? All right. Here we go with the bolts. A 1, a 2, 3, and a 4. Let's swirl this for a minute. Turn this crock pot off. The reason I kept it in the crock pot is so that the heated bolts could be at a consistent temperature for them. We weren't going to have at times when the heated bolts might be a little hotter than at other times. The crock pot helps to keep that at a consistent pace. 30 more seconds. Here we go. What do you think's going to happen? Count down. 10, 9, 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, and a 1. Here we go. Again, careful not to touch the actual bolts or the sides of the cup. We just want to measure the temperature of the oil. And what degrees Celsius do we have? We have a 35 degrees Celsius. 35 degrees Celsius. Yes, ladies and gentlemen. Make sure you jot that down. And what? Is it still increasing? Wait, hold up. It might still be increasing, ladies and gentlemen. By gosh, by golly, I think it went to 36. It did, 36 degrees Celsius. Go ahead and jot that down. And at this time, you can answer the rest of the questions for the investigation. Thank you very much.